Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up Spook Realm 4Q. You are first in the building today. And PSA, if you ain't a jive turkey, and I hope you're not suckers from the 70s, then purchase the Epic True Story. My brother's name is Kenny. The link is in the description below. Please hit the like button. Please, please, please. It helps the algorithm and gets more like-minded people to the channel. And last but not least, big up to the Rewind crew. Okay. Got that out the way. Gregory Nettis, what up? Says, yo, Kenny, that drive-through beat is awesome. Yes, I posted a beat yesterday as part of my beat series called Drive Through. It was actually a track that me and KRS-One was working on in 2009, something like 2009. That track is from '09. But we never ended up rocking it. But I was listening to it. I was like, this is still funky. I'm going to put it up. As I'm just cleaning up beats and putting them up for people to listen to, enjoy, rhyme to, whatever. If you want to purchase the beat, you can. Gregory says it got that Halloween vibe to it. I can see the Gravediggers or Onyx on that beat. Word up, son. Thank you so much. And real quick, we're going to jump right here. Ethan Sutton, what's good? Thank you so much for your contributions to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Have you ever met a blind rapper asking for my grandparents? No, I have never met a blind rapper. I remember there was a kid, remember the kid from BET? He used to come on, he used to have battles on 106 in Park. And I remember the blind kid used to come on and roast everybody. I remember seeing him, but no, I never met that guy. My homie MC Lars says, what's up? What's up, MC Lars? Big up. And Ethan Sutton, a regular to the channel, thank you so much for your contribution. All right, let me see if I can move quick. James Brown, what's up? Explicit, what's up? Spook Realm just put up a blasphemous statement. We respect all opinions on this channel, but this might be blasphemy. Pizza sucks. Spook Realm, what are you talking about? Floetry One, what's up? Supreme Divine, what's up? Let's see. Terrence Hill, what's good, my brother? Let's see. See, there's a whole conversation on here about pizza. It's crazy. Rasul Hassan says, what up, KP? Little Easy uses a hologram image of his father for shows. Could a group like De La Soul use a likeness for their fallen member? How would people feel about it? A deceased family. I don't know. I remember when years ago when Dr. Dre, I think it was Dre and Snoop, brought out the Tupac hologram for Coachella. That was crazy. I'm sure they could. I'm sure it's kind of expensive. Well, it was expensive back then, but with the technology now, it's probably not as expensive as before. I don't know. It feels kind of weird to me knowing that the person is really not there. Is really, he's passed. For me, it's a little weird, but I'd have to see it. I've never seen a show with that, so I'd have to see it. Great Beard, what's up? Dear Marasuti, peace and love from Scarborough, Canada. Tracy, hey, DJ KP, hey, chat. What's up, Tracy? Um, Jeffrey Lawsuit, this is an ill name. Just a cameo, salute. That's an ill name. Did you get that name because you won a lawsuit? You're in the middle of a lawsuit. You're the type of person that causes lawsuits. Interesting name. Latrice Washington, greetings. Um, MMA Crossfire, what's up? Patrick Sargent, what's up? CMC's techniques in class. Yo, we in there. Yeah. What up? Let's see. Jameer Live, you ask this question every week, and every week I give you the same answer. I don't know. Oreo 1873, what's good? Cynthia, hey, what's up, Cynth? How are you today? It's my girl from back in the day. I know Cynthia since I was a freshman in college. What up? Beyond the Matrix, what's up? Jason Wall. Boom. Jason Wall says, love the hat, BDP forever. I was not going to say anything until I saw a comment with someone noticing that I decided to dig up the hat after like 2 weeks of people saying, where's the hat? Beyond the Matrix, dope hat. Patrick Sargent, nice hat. Chef Daddy, what's good, KP in the chat? Let's see. Jason Wall says, fresh for Tuesday night, you suckers. JT says, that hat is looking dope. For those that don't know the backstory to this hat, if you have the book and read the book, you'll know the whole story behind this hat. But long story short, this is the original BDP hat that was part of the leather BDP suits from 1988. So this hat is what, 37 years old now? Something like that. My math is off. Yeah. And KRS, this is KRS-One's hat. This is the hat that he wore in the My Philosophy video. And this is the hat that he was wearing on the cover of the By All Means Necessary album. And if you got the book, the link is in the description below. You will find out how I got possession of this hat. And it's kind of beat up. I think I want to see if I could get it like redone, but I want to keep the original leather and everything original about it, but I just want to like see if they can fix it up. I don't know how that works, but this is the hat. I'm going to take it off in a second, but oh, Cynthia, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate it. Enjoying the channel. Much respect. My brother is Kenny Star Ledger Anderson. That's her nickname, Star Ledger Anderson. Has asked the masses to support. Continue blessings. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And yes, we got to catch up. I've been doing so much at the moment. When we catch up, I'll tell you all about it. That's my people right there. Thank you so much. Cutie Pie, what's going on? Let's see. Danielle Ladon Freeman. Yo, KP, that BDP hat is really, really, really dope. Thank you. It was really, really dope. I wish I had the whole. I never had the actual suit made for me. They made those suits. Each one of those suits had to be like $2,000. Back in '88, which is probably like 5,000 right now. And they made like 7 or 8 of them. Crazy amount of money spent on that. Um, I never had one made for myself because I was not in Boogie Down Productions, BDP, at the time. But of course, I was in the orbit, and there's a whole story behind this hat. I used to rock this hat a lot. Uh, let's see. My Eagle Wolf. Haven't seen you in a minute. What's up? Dope hat. You got a dope hat. Let's see. This is interesting. Blaze Universal says, KP, you ever share any moments with Paul C or his stories about him back in the day? Yeah, well, I talked about him. I tried to mention him on this channel, and I had two of his students on this channel, and I talked about him. Large Professor and Said G learned a tremendous a lot about production from him, and I always try to talk about him and get stories about him. I'm not sure if I met him because he used to work in a different studios, but he did work in Power Play when BDP was there, and Eric B. and Rakim, EPMD, everybody used to be at Power Play Studios in Queens. I may or may not have met him, but I remember when he passed. Uh, Tragic. And he was a dope producer, but a visionary engineer who taught everybody, and he taught people who taught people who taught people. So he's really like the one of the real fathers of hip hop production in the late '80s. But I'm not sure if I met him. I think I might have met him. Um, but I'm not sure. Daryl Thomas says, I'm hearing Sister Sanctified looking at you in that hat. Yes, I believe that is the sample for my philosophy. Uh, let's see. Um, Papa Sincere, what's up? Uh, let's see. Blaze University is KP, SP1200 user. You ever use any other samplers? Actually, no. Um, I've made beats on Pro Tools, like taking stuff and piecing them together and literally creating a beat like a puzzle on Pro Tools. But as far as making drums and sampling, I've only used the SP1200. I'm looking to update my stuff. I want something smaller that I could rock. I was thinking about the Machine, but I'm not sure because that I was thinking about that a few years ago. I know they got new ones, but is there something else that's dope, that's user friendly, that I can rock to? I really want to step that up, be more portable. Uh, Ethan Sutton, what's up? Uh, Ann says Jack of Spades hat. No, that came later. Those hats, those were other BDP suits. Um, and in like 90, 91, 92, I had my own BDP suits, which I don't have any of them anymore. But I believe the very first BDP suits, we used to call them BDP suits, shout out to Dapper Dan Harlem, was KRS and Scott LaRock on the cover of Criminal Minded. They didn't have the hat, but they had the leather. I'm gonna say that BDP was the first to rock a Dapper Dan suit on the cover of the album, because I'm not sure. I think Eric B. and Rakim came out a couple of weeks or months after. I think Paid in Full came out after Criminal Minded, and they had on the suits. Uh, Now, I'm not sure about that, but I think BDP was the first. But then that was the Criminal Minded. Then the suits evolved to the ones you saw in my philosophy video. Uh, Jason Wall says the black and white BDP look is what I most remember. Yeah, but go back and check out Jack of Spades. Those suits were crazy. Shout out to my man, Willie D. Um, he was uh, rocking a crazy suit and being very theatrical as he normally is. Karis may have wore this outfit also in yeah, he may have wore it in the end of I'm gonna get you, sucker. More I think about it, you might be right. Cause I'm thinking of I'm gonna get Jack of Spades video, but the movie I'm gonna get you, sucker, at the end, they had on suits, I believe. It might have been the same suits, but I think I had this hat already. By the time that movie came out, I already had this hat. So this hat might not have been in that movie, but the rest of the suit may have been. Gregory Netta says that hat is older than Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was president when when I got this hat. Wow. Wow. Um, Terrence Hill says, damn, that hat needs to be in a hip hop museum along with my Pele Pele jacket. One of these museums had actually reached out to me about I posted this hat about 10 years ago, maybe, on Facebook. Just like, yo, I still got the original hat. And one of these museums, I can't remember, one of these hip hop museums reached out to me and said, would I like to donate it just, to have it there. And I wanted to keep it in my possession for now, but maybe at some point, if we can get it restored and looking nice, maybe, it'd be cool to have some old school memorabilia. I don't know how much BDP memorabilia still exists. So this might be the oldest, unless D Nice or ICU or one of them guys still got one of their suits or Red Alert. But this could be the last existing oldest BDP memorabilia still in effect. Maybe. David also says, Kenny, do people come up to you for autographs? And if so, do you enjoy signing them? Over the years, yeah, like when we used to do shows and stuff like that, especially like in the 90s, uh, autographs, pictures, stuff like that. And then when I was doing my book signings, I was doing a lot of signing. Yes, I enjoy them. It's a real honor for someone to ask you to sign something. I feel, it could be some people could be a little aggressive, feel like the artist owes them something. Like if you say, you can't do it right now, or I'm in a hurry, we can't take a picture, but like, I can't stop because I'm late for something. Then some people might get an attitude. That's not good. Artists are people too, and they don't owe you anything. But it's always a nice gesture when an artist takes out time to engage with people that help put them where they are. So for me, I don't have a problem signing anything. Anytime somebody asks me, and from time to time they do now, but back in the day, it used to happen a lot, and I don't have a problem with it. Patrick Y, what's good? Um, this hat is starting to squeeze my head, so I might take it off in a minute. Um, let's see. Floji, you just peeped it. You have the My Philosophy video had that was my intro to BDP, and now I'm looking at it on your head. That's got hip hop history value. Thank you. Yeah, this is the hat. I should start rocking it. I'm gonna get it done right. Y'all can't see, but it's it's kind of dingy and The shape is a little beat up, but the next BDP show I go to, I'm going to surprise Chris and I'm going to rock this hat. I might do that. I know he doesn't even remember that I have this. And he's not nostalgic at all. CMC's techniques in class, as usual. You already know what it do. Thank you. Um, Big up KP. Do you think Beat It overshadowed Off the Wall, even though Beat It is a more polished album from Q? You mean Thriller? Now that is always the super debate. And I always used to say that I think Off the Wall is a better R&B album, more soulful than Thriller. And me and my friend one day went through Off the Wall and Thriller song for song. And now I'm leaning towards Thriller as being the best album. Um, at the time, Off the Wall sold like 10 million copies and was the biggest selling solo artist album of all time. Off the Wall. And we thought Michael Jackson was big. um, a shout out to the late, great Rod Temperton, who doesn't get mentioned at all. If you know, you know. Great songwriter from the group. What was his group? GQ or Heatwave? Damn. I think GQ, yeah. Who Quincy Jones recruited to write on both of those albums. Uh, if you ever, there's a documentary on Rod Temperton, you should check it out. He really helped craft the sound of our youth. And I'm gonna shout him out. But the question is, do I think Thriller overshadowed Off the Wall? Absolutely. Thriller is the biggest album ever. Um, I think Thriller might be the biggest single entertainment phenomenon of all time. There's movies like E.T. or Star Wars or say the Avengers, like the biggest movies ever. And even as big as those were, and these are like cultural, iconic works of art, and even the biggest TV shows, I don't think anything that I've ever seen in my lifetime, entertainment wise, even a Michael Jordan has his moments in sports. I don't think anything entertainment wise can equal Thriller at its peak in 84, 83, 84, and 84. But Off the Wall may, depending on your taste, may be a better album. You'd have to go through song for song, put them side by side. That is an incredible argument. Jason Wall says Jizza made a whole album of Pro Tools. I did not know that. Shout out to my man Jizza. I have not seen him in forever. Terrence Hill says, "Isn't there a museum inside the Temple of Hip Hop?" Well, it's the Temple of Hip Hop is a museum. Is one of the things that it is. It's a bunch of things. Yeah, there's a lot of KRS BDP memorabilia in there. And if Chris wants me to put this hat in there, I definitely would. Um, Although I've been holding on to it for 38 years, I think I've did a good job. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. If he wanted me to put this hat in there, I'll put it in there. Uh, Fire said the stars lined up with Thriller. Yeah, it's like it was the perfect storm of great music, pop music, dance music, R&B mixed with rock. And then the MTV video explosion happened right at that time. And it seemed like Michael Jackson and video were made for each other. It seems like Michael Jackson was born to be in a video, and it seemed like video was created to capture him. And you put that together in a time where there wasn't a lot of entertainment outlets. So if something blew up on like a couple of outlets, it was huge. Michael Jackson was black, but he transcended all races. The whole world was with that. That Thriller video, I believe, is still the most expensive video ever shot. I believe it was $4 million they spent on that video. $4 million in 1984. It's probably like, yeah, like 10 right now. Um, and it's still the greatest video ever. It was the perfect storm of a lot of things that had to happen. Sammy Gervais, what's up? Says Off the Wall is Michael Jackson's mature album, while Thriller is his fantasy pop album. And it's funny because it's backwards, and one came before the other. And I always felt like Michael Jackson after Thriller, and this happens to all artists just about who have a gigantic hit song or album or moment, chases that moment, trying to recapture that moment. And I always felt like Michael Jackson was trying to recapture Thriller moment with the Bad album, Dangerous. He was trying to hit that home run once again. And I always felt like I wish he had chased Off the Wall instead of chasing Thriller. I wish he would have made another R&B type album. I know once you sell, I think Thriller is 25 times platinum in America, just in America. That's double diamond plus 5 million. Unfathomable numbers. Once you get that, anything less than that would be considered a failure, because I think Bad sold like 40 million albums, and it's like a failure compared to Thriller. And then, it goes down from there. But I wish he had have made more off the wall music. Like, I feel like that song Butterflies, shout out to Floetry. I feel like Butterflies would have been great on Off the Wall. That song sounds like it could have been on Off the Wall and sounded exactly the same. Um, I wish he had have went in that direction. This is me as a Michael Jackson fan. Um, Patrick Wise says, I thought Prince's 1999 was going to be played every day in 1999. Me too. And he made that record in what, 82? Beyond the Matrix says Purple Rain was huge too during that time frame. Yes. I always say that 84, 85, the 2-year period, is the greatest time in the history of entertainment. I will argue any time period that you could put up against 84, 85. The amount of once in a lifetime generational talent that was out at that time, that was either continuing their career or just getting started, was unbelievable. I can go down the list, but yeah. And the crazy thing about Purple Rain that people don't remember, it was so innovative that I remember Michael Jackson Thriller was number one for like 6 months. 6 months. It was the number one album. 6 months. And we thought that that was the greatest. Like, there's nothing past that. I still think there's nothing past Thriller. But then Purple Rain came in the latter part of 84. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, hold up. Is Thriller the greatest thing we've ever heard? Because now Purple Rain, this Prince guy has ascended. And I remember everything was Michael Jackson versus Prince. Michael Jackson versus Prince. Who is really the most incredible artist at the time? And it became the thing up until they passed. Because Purple Rain is unlike anything we had ever heard of either. Just a crazy, all that was happening at the same time. I could just go down the list. I will battle any time period with those 2 years. Any. Fire says Quincy Jones on both albums. Yeah, and there's after Bad, Michael Jackson parted ways with Quincy and went another direction. I don't know if that was good or bad. I know it wasn't Quincy's idea. And I've heard rumors, I don't know if this is true. I hate spreading gossip, but I've seen it printed that one of the discrepancies was that Quincy came to Michael Jackson was like, there's a new sound called hip hop. And this is the future sound. This is the next sound that's coming. And he wanted to incorporate hip hop into the next Michael Jackson album. And Michael Jackson wasn't with it. He didn't see the vision. And that was one of the reasons that caused the rift. I don't know if that's true, but I've read that. Um, and of course, as you know, guys know, in '89, I believe, was it the album with Secret Garden? I think it was '89. Quincy Jones added rappers and everything to his album. But I think in '87, '88, he was already like, yo, this is coming. This sound is coming. Um, that's how I understand it. But Quincy Jones is just his knowledge of music and his influence to music. Some things can't even be measured. Benny Doyle says, rest in peace, Lawrence Moten, Syracuse legend. I did not know Lawrence Moten passed. Is this recent? Wow. I believe he graduated as the Big East all-time leading scorer, right? In like 91 or something. Um, you gotta think of all the great players that played in the Big East in the 80s. The all-time leading scorer at the time was Lawrence Moten. I remember he used to wear those high socks, and he had a credible mid-range game. I did not know he passed away. Wow. Um, I mean, if he passed away sooner, I did not know. But if it happened today, wow. But rest in peace to him and condolences to his family. Lawrence Moten was tough in college, man. Explicit says Prince was smart. There's a crazy story about him and DMX. Yeah, I see a lot of stories with Prince and telling artists about owning their masters when people didn't even know what masters was. And Prince was one of the early, well, I mean, Ray Charles and all them guys were on it too, but shout out to Ray Charles. But in the modern era, Prince was one of the first guys to really say these record companies and these contracts is BS. And what I respect about Prince the most, that's why he had the slave on his face. Remember that? And he changed his name. He was fighting with Warner Brothers to own his stuff and get out the contract. Most artists, and I'm going to include Michael Jackson in on this, they always come at the end or latter part of their careers and complain about the music industry and talk about how unfair it is, and they call it demonic and all of these names. But after they had a whole run, and towards the end, when they're not as hot as they were, then they start telling the real story. Prince told the story when he was at the top, when Diamonds and Pearls was out, when he was still selling millions. He was like, this whole thing is BS. And he wrote Slave on his face and the whole thing. And I respect him. And he started trying to school the young boys. Own your masters. Own your rights. I respect anybody who tried to school the youth because I believe, and I always say this, that my generation dropped the ball. There was a moment in time where hip hop could have beaten the corporations. We had the power to beat them. There was a time when we could have changed everything. And instead, we sold out the youth coming up for crumbs. Crumbs. My generation did this to the people coming after us. And but Prince tried. And I have the utmost respect for him for that. I will always. I'm falling way behind now. Brand Yakubi says, hi, Kenny. How old is that hat? I believe I mentioned this hat is from 1988. I got possession of it in the summer of 88. And so it was on the album cover of By All Means Necessary, which came out, I believe, March of 88, March or April of 88. So the suit hasn't been made a little while before that. And for the artwork to be done, that means the artwork usually takes like 2 months or so to get your artwork down. So that means these hat and suits were probably made in the top of 88, if not late 87. I would have to ask KRS about that. I don't know. Or D Nice or whoever. But early 88 is when this hat was made. Fire says Billie Jean on MTV. What? No, Billie Jean on the 25th anniversary of Motown. That's when things really went crazy. Michael Jackson was already on fire. And then he came to the Motown 25. Do you remember that? Motown 25 celebration? And he did song with the Jackson 5. And then he debuted Billie Jean when he moonwalked. After that, everyone was talking about it. After that, he just went into the stratosphere. Explicit says that is true, but Jordan was bigger in the 90s. I don't think Jordan in the 90s was bigger than Michael Jackson and Thriller. I think Jordan was humongous in the 90s as well. Humongous. Humongous. But I just think Thriller is as big as it ever got for one person. That's my opinion. I think Michael Jackson Thriller is bigger than even Jordan winning the championships back, the championships and all that. Though Jordan is right there too. Gregory Ness says Michael Jackson saved MTV from going bankrupt. I mean, I've heard that. I don't know if that's true. I know he is the first. They would not play black artists. MTV would not play a black artist on their channel. They said middle America does not want to see a black artist in their living room. And they would not. And a lot of artists complain. I remember Rick James was complaining about racism and saying that was unfair. But I believe Michael Jackson is the one that broke through. He had to. You had to play Michael Jackson. And he broke through and showed MTV and America that middle America will accept a black person in their living room. This is not even that long. Racism is, I don't really like to go down that lane on this channel, although I could. But a lot of these racist things that happened, this wasn't even that long ago. We're talking 82. We're talking a Thriller album. MTV did not want to play a black artist in 82. Joey Joe says Thriller also had a ton of musicians on it collaborating. Yeah, that's Quincy's touch. Quincy brought the greatest musicians from all around the world. That's why it sounded the way it sounded. Terrence Hill says Off the Wall and Thriller were great, but Dangerous will always be fire. Dangerous was great. I wouldn't put it up on the same level as Off the Wall and Thriller, but it was great. Rock Justice says $4 million in 84 is roughly 12.4 million today. Wow. I didn't even realize it's 3 times. $1 is 3 times. Could you imagine spending 12 million on a video project, on a mini movie right now? Any artist right now. Who's the biggest? Taylor Swift? Beyonce, imagine spending 12 million. It's not even possible anymore. Blaze Universal says MJ had all his fans crying just to watch him get out of a car. If you want to hear the funniest Michael Jackson story, you got to hear Jamie Foxx tell a story about when he was a young teenager and he went to see Michael Jackson and what it was really like to be in the audience in a Michael Jackson show. You have never laughed in your lifetime until you hear Jamie Foxx describe um, the Michael Jackson effect. Patrick Wise says, it seemed like MTV played Thriller video every 3 videos and Pat Benatar, Love is a Battlefield, every 5 videos. They OD'd on both of the videos. Yeah, it was only a handful. First of all, it wasn't a lot of videos. Having a video was a big luxury back in the day. Most artists didn't even get to the level of a video because there was no outlet to play it. BET was created basically because MTV wouldn't play R&B. But there was like a handful of videos, and they were real quirky. Them videos were so weird back in the day. Shout out to Pat Benatar. Love is a Battlefield is the jam. And the Police and all those records. I will put 84, 85. Let's go. Anybody. I will destroy anybody. I will put up 84, 85. That time was ridiculous. Let's see. I'm a ways behind, but I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit. Also, you know what else too? If you ever listen to Thriller, listen to it right now. Sonically, it still sounds as good as anything out right now. Sonically, that is one of the greatest produced, engineered albums ever. MK Ultra, what's up? It's my philosophy on the industry. Don't bother dissing me or even wishing me. That song made me famous. Kenneth Smith says, wow, seems like more ads tonight. I keep getting them. Oh, word? Sorry about that, y'all. Crusher Blackwell says Michael Jackson did right by getting Biggie on this time around back in 95. Did I ever tell y'all KRS was supposed to do a song with Michael Jackson? Didn't work out? Did I ever tell y'all that on this channel? I think I talked about it. Benny Doe says, yeah, he just passed earlier today. They're just now saying how. Oh, okay. So Lawrence Moten, um, a Big East Hall of Famer, passed away today. Wow, he wasn't even that old. Man, life is so precious, y'all. I say it all the time. Every day that we're here, us community, that we get to just chill with each other on a Tuesday and a Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is just special. Special. You just never know when you just out, man. And this review, I don't even want to get into it, but yeah, Booze. I always mess that up. As for the debate, I enjoy Prince's music better, but remember, he grew up listening to Michael Jackson, not the other way around. Of course, um, Prince is my all-time favorite artist, my number one. But Mike, the Jackson 5 sold 80 million records. The Jackson 5, this is when he was a kid. He was just getting started. You can't even put anybody in his category. That's why when I see people comparing it, Michael Jackson today, I'm like, what are you talking about? The slander. Wow. let me scroll down a little bit. Reggie Johnson says, people forget we had Whitney, Madonna, Eddie, Jordan, Arnold, Sly, Mr. T, Run DMC came in and took their place at their side. All this happened in 84, 85. People don't even understand. We had Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion. All of this happened at the same time. These iconic, once in a lifetime, never seen before, never duplicated artists, they all were out at the same time. And the older people like Marvin Gaye and Diana Ross and Stevie, they were all rocking too. Shaka and Patty, they all were rocking too. And all of the Phil Collinses and Rod Stewarts and all of those guys were rocking too. Billy Joel, all of them from the 70s was still huge in 84, 85. And then all the new people were coming. And the music and the movies, sports. Let's go. Anybody, I'll battle anybody. Let me scroll down a little bit. Explicit said what MTV did was destroy themselves. Yeah, they chased the reality TV phenomenon. When reality TV hit big, they couldn't put enough reality shows on TV. And I'm going to shout out, speaking of reality shows, I'm going to shout out my girl Heather B for being the first African-American female to star in a reality series. Real World Season 1, 1992. Big up Heather B. She is the first. That show is in the Television Hall of Fame. And Heather's in there. I'm going to shout her out. And I'm going to shout out myself being the very first producer and DJ on a reality show. The first, Kenny Parker, Real World Season 1, Episode 2. But yeah, once MTV, once the reality show world took off, they had to keep putting new shows and you need more slots. So what are we going to take off? Let's take off videos. Let's take off more videos and show more reality shows. It got down to just like TRL and that's it. And then it's like, you know what, after a while, let's get rid of TRL. Now, I mean, all of it is destroyed. VH1, MTV, BET, there's no video outlets now. There was a time when your video coming out was a world premiere, and it was a big deal to see a hit record have a new video, and it had to be dope. And the budgets were ridiculous. But things change, man. You know, we miss the good old days. But you know, our parents are probably like, that's nothing compared to American Bandstand or something like that, you know, or there's nothing that's cool, but going to see these bands in a, you know, at the Cotton Club somewhere, they probably feel that way how we felt, you know, how we feel now. So it's just generational, but Blazenez says MJ was big everywhere. In 84, I was 5 years old in Colombia. My parents taught me Thriller. Everybody knows. You could do the Thriller. You could throw in Thriller right now in a grammar school, right now, and a chunk of them kids will know it and start dancing. Jack Swagger says 12 million is investing in a movie today. Yeah, pretty much. For 12 million, that's what they would give you to do a whole Netflix movie. But you got to understand, Thriller was selling 1 million records a week for months. 1 million records a week for months. Purple Rain was also #1 for 6 months in a row. Purple Rain was #1 for 6 months. And you know what's crazy? In the midst of all of these people winning all these awards, a dude like Lionel Richie Remember when he won all those Grammys? He was like, this is insane. Lionel Richie had one of the greatest runs of all time between the Commodores and his solo hits of all time. In 84, Lionel Richie was one of the biggest artists ever. It wasn't for Michael Jackson and Prince. Lionel Richie would be the guy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. Y'all know you already know. Um, Jack Swagger says KP wants 84, 85 smoke. I want all of it. Give me all the smoke. Um, let's see. Vincent Ross says, good evening, DJ Kenny Parker. That BDP hat is fire. Thank you. I've been playing Why Is That repeatedly for a while. Now its message is so needed right now. Yeah, there's a lot of KRS songs I could think of. His message would be great right now. But, times are different. A lot of rap radio would not play Why Is That. That was really the lead single off of Ghetto Music. You Must Learn was the second single and video. But Why Is That was the lead single, and quite a few outlets would not play it because what he was talking about. He's talking about Jesus, people in the Bible being black, and it was KRS was a rebel, renegade. Let me scroll down a little bit. I'm just gonna jump down. Jack Swag says KP wants all the smoke since he got possessed by that BDP hat. Yo, it's the hat that's making me act like this, y'all. It could be true. Am I channeling the energy of KRS who always wants smoke? You know what? It's the hat, y'all. It's not me, it's the hat. Like when Spider-Man, when that black goo got on him and changed his personality, Venom. I think this is the Venom. It's the hat. Emma Brown, what's going on? Emma Brown, you're a regular now. Um, I don't know. Terrence Hill says 84, 85 was when humans and the aliens collaborated and the aliens started giving us that technology. They said it was no, they said it was in the 40s, right? And who was it? Truman or Eisenhower met with the aliens and they made a deal to exchange technology. Not exchange, to get technology from the aliens. I don't know what we exchanged with them, but isn't that in like the 50s? I mean, do you want to go down that conspiracy theory? Yo, Jason Wall is on fire. So you're saying Heather B killed MTV? Beefing with Trevor checking now your girl. Yeah. Yes, Heather B destroyed MTV, VH1, and BET. Yes. I'm gonna go on record and say that. Absolutely. Yo, that might be one of the funniest things I've read on this channel. Yes, you can say that. Um, Gregory Netta says the Terminator and Scarface came out in 83, 84. Legendary movies. Do we even want to talk about the legendary? Dude. Yeah, Emma Brown, this is really, and I hate sounding like somebody's parent, but if you didn't live through the 80s and the 90s, I feel bad for you, son. It's really true. The excitement of the seeing things for the first time. When was the last time we saw something first that we have never seen before or could imagine seeing before in a genre? When was the last time that happened in entertainment or in life? When was the last time? Because in the 80s and 90s, things were coming out. We were getting hit with sounds and sights that we had never seen, innovation that we had never seen before. Even with AI and all it can do, what has we seen now? What is out now that is truly something you've never seen before? The iPhone, when the iPhone hit, what's that, '09? When was the last time? Forget and entertainment is done. When was the last time something really innovative happened? It's been decades. The internet and iPhones and stuff like that. In the 80s, we were getting hit with so much excitement. And it wasn't that you had to dig for it and look for it. It was in your face. You just cut on the TV, cut on the radio, go to the movie theater, and it was just amazing. And now I sound like somebody's parent. Right, exactly. Explicit. Every era claims they had the best era, though. Exactly. But if you really look at it, though, this era sucks, man. These kids now, they're like, everything from before is trash and everything is better now. They don't understand. And you can't argue. They're saying that Chris Brown is better than Michael Jackson. You can't argue with that. You just gotta let that go. You know, the '70s were great, and the '60s were tumultuous. Um, but I'm going with that era. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have lived before social media, before surveillance cameras everywhere, and every move you make was being tracked. Our generation was the last generation to have any privacy. Could you imagine if everything that you ever did back in the '90s and '80s is saved on YouTube or on social media and people can just pull it up forever and all your conversations, everything you ever thought about and you type like a tweet is there forever? Could you imagine that? All the stuff we did back in the day, could you imagine if it just came out right now? Here it is. I'm going down a real soapbox today. I'm preaching everything. It's the hat, y'all. Don't blame it's the hat. Booze Review says, I got your back on the '80s smoke, KP. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Terrence Hill said, We Are the World came out in '85. And Live Aid, I stepped on stage at Live Aid, all the people paid and reps. Remember that? Run DMC. Remember hearing Run DMC for the first time? This might be the second funniest thing I've seen. Patrick Wise says, KP, I just saw Chubby Checker drive by your place playing your drive-through beat. That's hilarious. I dropped a beat yesterday called Drive Through. If you guys get a chance, check it out. It's part of my beat series. Um, I made the beat in '09, and KRS rapped on it in the studio, but then we didn't come out with it. But the beat, I still want to do something with it. And y'all know my Chubby Checker, not beef. I don't want no smoke with Chubby Checker. My Chubby Checker analysis from last week. JT says, didn't Lionel Richie at the height of his fame play at the Olympics, or am I imagining it? He could have. I don't remember. but he could have. You look at that lineup. Go look at the We Are the World video and look at that lineup. These are all the artists that were at that award show. I believe it was the Grammys, and they all left from there and went to Quincy's studio, whatever, and they sung this song. Look at that lineup. Those are the artists that were active then. I will put those people in that room up against anybody's group. The people that were in that room, and Prince didn't even show up. He got a lot of heat for that too. And Prince was the hottest artist in the world at that moment, and he chose not to show up because he was Prince. But if you look at the artist that was in that room, including Quincy Jones, it's the hat, y'all. Don't mind me. Mm. Um, let's see. Cutie Pie says KP alter ego. It's the hat. Once I take this hat off, I'm back, y'all. So I'm gonna use anything that happens on this channel tonight this is my disclaimer. Anything that Kenny Parker is not responsible for the opinions and the actions of the host of tonight's show. Due to maybe the hat is squeezing my head or channeling the energy of another Parker brother, things may be a little controversial tonight and combative. This is funny. KP, why did KRS diss Lionel Richie? That was a random stray caught on Madism. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat the line, but yeah. You know that me and KRS have laughed. Me, KRS, and Willie D, rest in peace, have laughed about that line. And I have asked the same question that you ask. And I believe that was around the time when Lionel Richie, I don't know the exact story, but didn't he get caught cheating on his wife with another woman? And his wife came to where they were and like caught them outside and beat both of their asses? Something to that effect. Lionel Richie's wife brought it to both of them. And I believe after that incident, when right around the time KRS was writing that song, Mad Ism, shout out to Hakeem and Tuffy Channel Live, and that was a random stray. It really was a random stray. And I love Lionel Richie, by the way. I hope he never heard that line. I would love to meet him. Yeah, Patrick Wise says Drew Barrymore would give KP 20K for that hat. I might sell too. Um, For those that don't know, I mention this on this channel all the time. We met Drew Barrymore at the Arsenio Hall show in 1992. She was one of the guests, along with BDP, was the musical guest. And she was so incredibly nice to us backstage, so overwhelmingly nice and pleasant that it left us a mark in my mind of just what a nice person looks like. Drew Barrymore. And she said, I love Boogie Down Productions. So she may buy that hat. Yeah, Kennard Roberts, Lionel Richie word was outrageous. Yeah, when he kept winning all the awards, he was going, this is outrageous. Kirky says, Kenny, are you okay, Eddie? Are you okay? It's the hat. It's not me, it's the hat. It's the hat. Markeith Bankroll, shout out Heather B, BDP 87 to 92. Heather B was part of the BDP crew for more like 90 to 92. Thank you, Ajax, for agreeing. Nothing can beat the 80s and 90s. Thank you. B-Bull Jones, and what's up? Loving the BDP hat. Thank you. Kenny should invite Jason Voorhees on his show. You know what's funny? I went to see Friday the 13th. I think it was part three. What year did that come out? Like 83? No, maybe more than that. Maybe like 84. I forgot what year that came out. It was the first one in 3D and one of the early movies in 3D. Now I remember Burger King. I'm really just this is random. Burger King had this campaign where they were giving out 3D glasses, and you get the glasses, you take them home, and then when you watch TV or watch something, you would see 3D for the first time. This was in like the late 70s. And I remember getting the glasses, putting them on, and it did not work. I was like, 3D is bullshit. Fast forward a few years later, I went to see Friday the 13th, part three in 3D. And they gave out glasses in the movie theater. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. What is this going to be like? Man, I remember when the movie came out, I said, Friday the 13th, and it shot out like that. And everybody in the movie theater went, oh, and I remember I had popcorn in my hand. I went, oh, like that. And popcorn went up in the air and got on the people next to me. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but the way it shot out, it really was 3D. That's the first time I experienced 3D. Now that you bring up Jason Voorhees, who one of the original slashers. Was he the original slasher? Was Friday the 13th? No, with the original, well, Psycho, but was he? But Psycho was just confined to, Psycho was different. Jason Voorhees was just going around just discriminately. Was he the first slasher? Sweet Goldilocks, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate you and being a regular. Um, What's up? Says Kenny, from now on, whenever you want to talk about something controversial, you have to put that hat on. You know what? I might do that. That might be, if y'all see the hat come out, I really want to put the hat back where I had it to keep it preserved, but you're right. Whenever it's time to turn up, I might just pull, you see me put the hat on, y'all know it's something serious. That's a great point. Oh man, yeah. That's funny. I'm not that far behind right now. Um, let's see. 1984, George Orwell. Yeah, I mean, that is one of those most quoted books because it predicted what was to come. And we are here. We are in 1984, y'all. We are here. Let's see. Sir Malik One, what's up? Says peace. The 70s and 80s changed societal direction, but in a manner that benefited the people. Yeah, well, I mean, the 60s was like the growing pains. The 60s was so brutal, but what came out of the 60s, especially for Black people, the civil rights movement, and it allowed us to be heard in the 70s and 80s. I think I'm not going to speak for our contribution, a Black contribution to the world in the 70s and 80s, which changed the world, was the result of the fight from the 50s and started in the 50s. Well, it started, since slavery, but in the 60s, when it finally broke through and laws were passed that allowed people to be able to be heard without being harmed, led to what I believe is the 70s and 80s societal change. Because you got to imagine, Michael Jackson and Prince and all these people that came out in the 50s, they wouldn't even have been on the radio. They would have heard Michael Jackson would have been a nice R&B artist, and a white artist would have took Thriller, and they would have had to do it over. And that version that the white guy did over would have been the version that played. That's how music was in the 50s. Bad times, y'all. Um, Emma Brown, is that true? Michael Jackson gave Prince the wrong address to We Are the World. Is that true? That would be a hate. I don't know if that's true. I've never heard that. I've never heard that, but that would be crazy. Larico Perez, I don't recognize that name. Are you new to the channel? What's up? Says, yo, what's up, Kenny? Much respect, brother. Thank you so much. Let's see. Yeah, Philly Sheet. It was actually the American Music Awards. Yeah, it wasn't the Grammys. Because I only know because of the documentary. Yeah, it was one of those award shows. It wasn't the Grammys, it was the American Music Awards. That they all were there, and then they went over to Quincy's studio. Or the studio he had booked. Thank you for clearing that up. But yeah, all of them people were in the house at one time. MK Ultra says, KP, that hat like Jim Carrey in the mask. Yes. Scuba, that BDP leather was infamous. Yeah, it was, man. A lot of stuff happened in the BDP suits. um, Floshy One says, can you loosen it up in the back of the hat, KP? No, this is a fitted hat. It was made to fit KRS-One's head. I guess his head was measured, and the hat was made to fit his head. And it fits my head, although my head is a little bigger than it was in 88. So in 88, it probably was a lot looser than it is now. But no, I cannot adjust it in the back. It is fitted. Uh-oh, I'm running behind. We're gonna not go into overtime today, y'all. So I want to get as much as I can in. Let me scroll down. Hakeem says, Kenny, you are BDP. Thank you. Although I cannot take that. I mean, that BDP is KRS. I am a member of the crew. What we have here? JT, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Says, hey KP, in light of Marley Marl's birthday, did not know that. Big up to Marley Marl, who's always been cool with me. Big up to him. Which two Marley Marl productions would you like to have heard KRS-One on? We can make it an A side, B side. Wow. So that's interesting because there's Marley Marl productions that I like, but now I don't know if KRS would fit on it. Because Check Out My Melody is one of my favorites. Now, who produced that is controversial because Eric B says it was his idea. Marley says it was his idea, whatever. But that tempo Do 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 with KRS in '87 with one of those rhymes, some slow funky rhymes. So that would have been dope. Although you can't imagine that record with anybody other than Rakim on it. But I'm gonna go check out My Melody is one. Marley had so many great beats. Goodness gracious. Uh, I'm trying to think of something because KRS likes slower tempos. So I'm trying to think of something that was slower that Marley did. I mean, the symphony is too easy. That's uh Nobody Beats the Biz beat was really dope. Doom, 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 doom. He's Bismarcky. KRS in '88 would have blazed that record. Nobody Beats the Biz. That would have been one. Off the top of my head, and I know I'm going to regret this because I really sit down and think about it, there's more. But off the top of my head, I'm going to go check out My Melody and Nobody Beats the Biz. I would have loved to hear KRS at that time, '87, '88, on those beats. Both of them really '87. Both of them came out '87. I would love to hear KRS in '87 rock to those beats. That would have been dope. Um, Scuba Scuba says Jaws in 3D worked. Booze Reviews. Michael Myers was before Jason. Halloween was before Friday the 13th? Oh, wow. Then Michael Myers is really the slasher. He's the slasher. Oh. And what's my girl who's in all the Halloween movies? Jamie Lee Curtis. She's the original screamer then. Michael Myers is the original slasher. She's the original screamer. Um, First Pro says I can picture KP with that popcorn flying in the air back in '82. Yes. It just went straight in the air. A whole thing. Betty Doyle says Halloween was '78. Friday 13th was 1980. Okay. And I saw both of those on VHS. I didn't see them when they first came out. I think Friday the 13th Part 3 was the first Friday the 13th I saw in the movie theater. So the original slasher is Michael Myers. You can't kill the boogeyman. Remember that? That was the original. You thought he was dead, and then you turn around and he's not there. Remember that? That was the original. We killed him, and everybody's hugging, and then you turn around and he's not there. It's crazy. B-Boy Jones says Psycho is widely considered the first slasher movie. It is, but it's different to me because it was like confined in one place, and that was more of a psychological thriller. Like, I think that's one of the first craziest plot twists of all time. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who has not seen Psycho, but that's one of the craziest plot twists ever. And it was a slasher movie. But I just kind of feel like Jason and them was just going from door to door, place to place. They catch you in the woods. They catch you in your bedroom. They catch you in the car. You couldn't kill them. Like, you're right. Psycho is the first slasher movie technically, but I'm rolling with those guys a little bit more. You are correct. Patrick Wise says, KP, whenever you're going to rant out on that hat, yeah, whenever I'm going to rant out, I should put this hat on. I have some rants, man. Terrence Hill says, no, preserve the hat, use something else. Yeah, I'm trying to keep the hat. I think I did okay with it. I think I did okay with it, but I don't know how something like this would get cleaned up nice and but still keep the original. Like I don't. I mean, you can professionally clean it, but I'd like to do the inside over. Take out the cloth inside and make it nice. I would like to do that. Mhm. Scuba says Michael Myers kind of got his ass kicked during his because yeah, people fought back against him. Jason was unbeatable, right? And Friday the 13th Part 3, they was I think the black dude tried to fight him, like try to put it like a going on one with him. Yeah, you didn't want a one-on-one. You didn't want a fair one with Jason. Um, let's see. Craig Rasul says, "What's up, Kenny? You didn't have a guest appearance on the Real World with Heather? Yeah, I was on there. As I was saying, I was the first DJ, first producer on the Real World, and I was the first DJ and producer in reality show history. Uh, they we were in the studio working on a song that never came out, but it's still considered a song. We were just started working on it, and they came in the studio and filmed it. I got some nice checks from that. I got some nice checks from technically producing a song. I produced the first rap song on a reality show, which is that song. And they came to the studio. We were going to the studio anyway, but they were following Heather wherever she went with the camera. So they came to the studio and filmed us working. And I was shown there's a guy on the show named Eric Neese. Shout out to Eric Neese. His father was Jack Neese, the NBA referee. But I'm gonna shout out Eric Neese. He's calling him E Nice. I'm gonna shout him out. Um, I was showing him how to DJ on the show. Like they have Paramount re-released the Real World. I don't know if they showed all of it like they showed it on MTV back in '92, but I was showing him a little bit of how to scratch. Shout out to E Nice. I remember him and Heather got in a wrestling match on the show, and Heather choked him out. He thought he could wrestle Heather. Heather choked him out. Come on, E Nice. Um, this is so fun for me. Talking about back in the day always makes you feel good, man. Oreo says in '85 you had Madonna's "Like a Virgin." We're not even going to talk about how Madonna exploded in '84, '85. I don't know if we've seen a woman as big as Madonna was. Maybe Taylor Swift is as big today, but Madonna was also the original explosion on the women's side in '84, '85. Shaka Khan, a legend from the '70s, was still dope in the '80s. That's what I'm saying in '85. Tears for Fears, the Mary Jane Girls. Big up to Rick James. He was still on fire in '85. Even Eddie Murphy. We're not going to talk about Eddie. We've never seen anything like Eddie Murphy before back in the '80s. And there's never been a comedian that's come in the realm of what Eddie did in the '80s. All of this was happening at the same time. I want all the smoke, y'all. Until I take this hat off, and then I'm gonna go back to normal. This might be my costume, my Marvel costume. Oh, somebody asked a question on here. I think I skimmed past it. Who as a comic book collector? Who was I into more, Marvel or DC? Marvel. Um, DJ Green Hornet, what's up? Hakeem says Self Destruction was a rap smash. It was. Spent 10 weeks at #1 on the Billboard rap charts. Gold single. I do not have a plaque for that, as I shouldn't. I was not part of that song. But shout out to D Nice on the production. I gotta get my boy D Nice on here, man. The biggest DJ in the world. Yo, Ajax says I got the KRS action figure. He's rocking that hat and the suit. That's right. The KRS action figure has on the old My Philosophy suit. He's rocking this hat on the action figure. That's a good call, Ajax. That's dope. Yeah, I gotta preserve this hat. Jeffrey Lawsuit says, does he have a big head? Well, I have a big head, so and when KRS gave me the hat, it fit right on my head like a glove. So whatever big head he has, I have the same head. Uh, I saw that somebody did a whole thing on this. Markeith Bankroll says, is Nas a sellout for his latest job and promotion? I don't think so. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but to call somebody a sellout, for a black person to call another black person a sellout, I don't know if you're not black, y'all, those that's not in the African American community, that is one of the biggest disrespects of one black person can call another black person is a sellout, or what we call a Uncle Tom. That is at the top of disrespect in our community. And to me, a person who's a sellout means they did something at the detriment of their own race to benefit another race. And so did Nas do something to the detriment of the black people in order to help or chase or be down with white people, basically? And doing a business deal to bring a casino to Queens, I don't put that in sellout category. I don't know anything about the deal. I don't know anything about what he's going to do with the money. I don't know how much money he got. We don't know the particulars. We don't even know if Nas is really involved. I've seen that on the internet. I haven't seen any reputable news outlet report on it. I don't know anything about that deal, but I would never call Nas a sellout for doing a business deal. I mean, even, if he's trying to help his family, if he's trying to, even if he's just doing it for personal reasons, I'm just trying to get the bag. If he's trying to build generational wealth so his kids and their kids and their kids can have a better life than he had in Queensbridge, I'm not mad at that. If 70 years from now, some little Nas Junior has a chance to go to college off of some money that was made in 2025 from his great grandfather or something like that, I'm not mad at that. I would never call Nas a sellout. I saw somebody online doing a whole breakdown. He's a sellout because he did business with some people who weren't black or something. I don't look at life like that. And like I said in the channel, Nas has the utmost respect on this channel. All right, I am approaching overtime status. I'm going to do my scroll all the way to the bottom. Um, and try to get some at the end. Cutie Pie says, my money is on Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates was crazy, yo. Kathy Bates was crazy, but she only had one tormentor, but she was crazy. Uh, I just skipped a whole bunch of comments. I'm sorry, y'all. I just want to get to the bottom. Explicit says, yeah, if Myers can't figure out Jamie Lee in 10 movies, he has no chance against Bates. Jamie Lee was very resilient. You're right about that. Um, let's see. I'm at the very bottom, so I'm looking at the latest comments. Um, you guys are talking. You guys be having some funny conversations in here, man. Let me scroll up a little bit. I'm just trying to get these last comments in because I'm not going to go too deep into overtime today. Uh, Emma Brown says Paris calls Flav a sellout. I would like to see what the reason is. Some people feel like if you are black and you don't do anything with only, if you do anything other than only with black people, you're a sellout. To me, it depends. I have to see exactly what the circumstances are for me to call somebody that. That is a very disrespectful term. This is wild, Patrick Y. I scrolled back up to catch this. Even though she could sing, that's an understatement. I never, in capital letters, liked Whitney Houston. Blasphemy, Patrick Y. Um, I'm ranting, KP. Let me borrow that hat. Yeah, you might need this hat for that one. I, for one, love Whitney Houston. And she's part of that 85 crew. Out of all the stuff that was going on, she was a puppy. The puppies in 85 was Whitney, Sade. They were little babies just getting their feet wet. Crazy, yo. Oh my goodness. What a time to be alive. I respect that, Patrick Y. If you ain't rocking with Whitney, you ain't rocking. I, for one, love Whitney Houston. Riz says Flav and Bridget Nielsen. Oh, that was the sellout? Um, Yo, man, let people love who they love, man. If that's who he liked, that's who he liked. My thing was that real or was it just for TV? I mean, didn't they meet on like a reality show, Flavor of Love or something like that? I don't remember. I don't really watch it, but I believe in let people love who they love, man. You can't call me a sellout for loving who I love. I gotta love who you say I have to love. I don't know about that. Is that why? But I'm saying, is that the reason he called him that? Scuba says Flav doing chicken commercials now is kind of cringe. Now, cringe is a word I'd like. I'm not going to use the word sellout, but some things are cringy. That I would say is cringy. He's welcome to get first of all, get your money, Flav. I ain't mad at you. Get your bread. This industry is so short. Your time to get money in entertainment is this. The window is open this wide for this long. Get your money, Flav. I'm not mad at you for chasing the bag. Now, how you get the money, all money isn't necessarily good money. But I don't know what kind of bills Flav had, so I don't know, but that is cringeworthy. Yes. I like the word cringe. Let's use that word. Uh, Jeffrey Lawson says Jesus even loves Flavor Flav. Jesus loves everybody. Emma says, I doubt the reason is Bridget. I mean, well, what other reason could it be? I mean, I know Flav got a lot of heat for his antics on the reality show, but that's what they made. That's what they became, just like a spectacle. But is that a sellout? Did he betray his people in order to side with or benefit the oppressor? Did he do that? I don't know. So, once again, that's open for discussion. That could be another whole half hour on this show. Emma says I can't even quote it here. Oh, word. Thank you, Emma. Well, let's not. But I would have to investigate that. Um, Emma said, Kenny, it's the first couple of lines in Get Fired Up by Paris. Shout out to Paris. I think I met him once. Um, yeah, I'd have to look at that. Spook Rum says, do you believe there's a battle rapper that KRS would lose against in a battle rap? Sure, anybody could lose against anybody. You get the right crowd, somebody get the right punchline at the right time, and they say it with authority, and you are done. Yeah, KRS could. There's any number of people. KRS could have lost to Shan if Shan had came correct. He didn't. He didn't. But he could have. Absolutely. I think it's like sports. On a given night, anybody could beat anybody, especially when you're at a certain talent level. An underdog could come along and say the right thing about KRS in front of the right crowd, and Chris doesn't have the right response, and you could be out of there. Sure, no one is unbeatable. Gregory Netta says, Kenny, doing a Jerry Curl commercial is cringe. Depends on where you from. If you was in from the NWA in 1988, that'd have been a dope look. That'd have been incredible. Imagine a sponsorship. Imagine a Jerry Curl sponsorship for NWA in 1988, 89. You know how much money they could have made if sponsorships were out then? You too can have a Jerry Curl just like NWA. Order now. It's cringy to me, but like I said, it depends on your perspective. I said I wasn't gonna go into overtime. We're in overtime. Just a little. I'm just trying to catch the last comments you guys make before I jump off. For those that's just checking in, this is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. and Friday. Every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. I wore the BDP hat from 1988 for the whole show. So anything I say during this show, I am not responsible for because my alter ego, that's Kenny Parker, said that. But when I take this hat off Friday, God willing, we will be here. I will be back to my normal self. Markeith Bankroll, Soul Glow. Remember that? Get your soul. That was funny, man. B-Boy Jones says, Kenny, did you ever hear Q-Tip's story about battling a young ODB? Yes, I did. And he was saying, he was saying that he battled ODB, but he couldn't beat ODB because ODB's style was so wild and funny that it didn't matter what he said, ODB would win. He was hilarious. That drunken style that he had, yeah, I saw that. That's exactly what I'm saying. It depends. Kenneth Smith says, okay, y'all, let's just know KP said he was about to take the hat off like 10 minutes into the video. We may have to help him get the venom off. You're right. I was going to rock it just to show y'all because we were talking about it, and I said I still had the hat. I had to dig it up. In a couple weeks, I had forgot, and I pulled it out just to show y'all, and I was going to take it off, but it's stuck now. We might have to ring that bell. Boom! And I got to try to pry it off my head. Oh, Jay Wu says, yo, Kenny, I'm late tonight. You got the hat. Thank you. Yes, I got the hat. Oh, that is funny, Kenneth. Yeah, I got the venom on my head, man. Tampa Bay says, Kenny, I'll trade you a first pressing locks hat for that BDP hat. I will have to decline that one. Shout out to the locks. I'm gonna keep this BDP hat though. This hat was on an album cover, a great album, by the way. This hat was on an album cover. So unless that first pressing locks hat was like on the cover of their first album or something. All right, I'm getting out of here, y'all. Let me scroll back down to the bottom. It's just get these last things. Oh, word, D Nizzy. 83 I watched Studio 31 video show. Ralph changed it to video music about Ralph McDaniels doesn't. I mean, there's Nas did a documentary on him, but he doesn't get mentioned enough for how he changed and created the video format, especially for rap as we see today. Ralph McDaniels in New York City had a free video show that came on public access television, channel 31. I think it came on at like 4 or 4:30, 4 o'clock or something like that. When you got home from school, everybody in New York area was glued to channel 31 to see the videos that Ralph was showing, and he had a lot of exclusives, videos you would not see anywhere else. We didn't have MTV or BET. Most people in the hood didn't even have cable. We had Ralph McDaniels. I'm gonna shout him out. He's a good homie, good friend. And you're right, he changed the game. Um, B-Boy Jones says we're gonna hear Kenny was uptown at Dykeman causing problems. Yeah. Shout out to Dykeman. Oh my God. Okay. Y'all killing me on here. Gregory Dad says Kenny's hair will grow with that BDP hat. Yeah, I might have a fade when I take this off. I might have a high top. There might be a high top under this. All right. I'm out. God willing, I will catch you guys on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for checking out the show. This has been hilarious for me. Big up to the Rewind crew. All right, I'm out, y'all. I'll catch you guys on Friday.